Yo guys, welcome back to the Blue Podcast with me, Tom, and Ben. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks.
We got an extra special guest for our 20th podcast. We've got my uncle and author, Simon. How you doing?
I'm very well. Glad to be here this afternoon.
Good stuff. Just quickly, thank you guys all for the support lately. Just hit 400 subscribers on YouTube. Great milestone to reach. Make sure you check us out on Spotify. It's there for if you want to listen to it. We upload these Thursday, 4 p.m. every week. And make sure to check out the merch, link in the description, and our Twitter at the Blue Podcast One, Instagram at the Blue Podcast One, and chuck us a DM if you ever want to come on the podcast. All right. Well, as you can see, my uncle is a Chelsea fan with the top he's wearing, just like everyone else in the family. So we'll start off with some questions about you and your early Chelsea life, let's say.
Cool.
What was your first memory of Chelsea?
First memory, I think, is definitely going to my first game. My dad, your granddad, took me to Stamford Bridge on a cold Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. In 1978. A long time ago. And Chelsea were in the old First Division. They weren't very good. And we played the European Cup winning side, Nottingham Forest, that had Trevor Francis, Tony Woodcock, all those greats, Larry Lloyd, Peter Shilton in goal. We got battered 3-1, and that probably flattered us. But to be fair, I didn't really care because I was about 7 or 8, and it was just exciting to go to my first football game. It seemed to go on forever as well. It's sort of like, although it's 90 minutes, and they sort of, when you get to my age, they flash by. It seemed to go on all afternoon. But yeah, no, it's a very exciting. That's my first memory, really.
Yeah. So your kind of first memories of Chelsea during that season, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And then, I remember Ray Wilkins was always my favourite player when I was a kid. I mean, he captained Chelsea at like 17 or 18. He was just such a good player. And probably way ahead of his time. He's one of those players that had so much time on the ball. He'd get the ball, he'd stop, put his foot on it, look up. He had all the time in the world, and then pick out a pass. And his idea of kind of that sort of possession of football, where you knock the ball backwards and forwards, you keep the ball because the opposition can't score if they haven't got the ball, and you build moves from the back. At that time, that wasn't very fashionable. That was seen as boring. But as we know, sort of 40 years later, that's how kind of a lot of teams will play now. So well ahead of his time, Ray Wilkins.
Oh yeah, Ben definitely knows how that feels as a City fan.
Yeah.
Passing it around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think Guardiola, he's been sort of the guy responsible for that sort of change in English football in some ways. Because obviously,
absolutely, yeah. It's that idea that and we've seen it in the Premiership before. I mean, certain teams have kind of been possession based. Arsenal have always been very much possession based, but thing with City, the difference between City and Arsenal that I can see in sort of recent years is that Arsenal want to walk the ball into the net and they can't defend, whereas City have had a kind of cutting edge, and you've had Aguero who's been just staggering in his like kind of conversion rate and the amount of goals he gets per season. There's been an end product to City's possession-based football.
It's true, yeah, definitely.
Well, Aguero's back in training now for a week, am I right?
Yeah. Aguero's back. Jesus is back. Bernardo's back.
But De Bruyne's now injured.
Yeah, but it's only a small injury, I think. So it's only a small injury. Apparently, he should be able to play the next game. If not, definitely the game after. So that's a positive, I guess, that it's not long term. Who else is back?
Yeah.
Gundogan's back from coronavirus. Cancelo.
I think if you keep De Bruyne and you can keep Aguero on the pitch, then you've got a really good chance. And Liverpool look like they are going to concede a lot more goals this season than last season. So
true.
Hopefully it's more than a one. They won't walk away with it this season, I don't think.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I have to say the Premier League start of this season has been quite crazy in terms of score lines, teams beating other teams that shouldn't be. It's been great. And then this weekend on Saturday, there's loads of big fixtures, which is going to be exciting. For example, City have got Arsenal at 5:30. That's a big game. Guardiola versus Arteta again. So that's going to be looking forward to that.
Yeah, they're talking about there's sort of various theories, aren't there, about why there's so many goals scored. They're saying that because there's no crowd, as a defender, you feel less of that pressure, and a crowd will almost ward a defender when they're about to be kind of under pressure, and it keeps them sharp. And also the pressure of a crowd on a goal scorer. So when you get the ball and you've got 45,000 people watching whether you score or not, it's very different to an empty stadium. So you're more likely to put the ball in the net. So I don't know if that's true, but I quite like it I like it as a theory.
Yeah. I do definitely think that because there is no crowd, there is that drop in intensity.
Yeah, definitely.
So if there's a crowd there, you're given that sort of impetus so instead of like sort of just jogging up to the ball, they'll be on them like in a flash if the crowd's there. But when there's no crowd there, they've not got the same sort of input behind them.
You saw that with Liverpool, I mean, when they got that game, they got beaten, but when they got beaten by Villa, I mean, their press was really slow, and it was just lacked that intensity that we saw last season.
Yeah, so, definitely.
Interesting stuff.
And then, like you say, the same in attack. Like it's a lot more because they're not as sort of they don't have the same impetus at the back. The people in the forward positions have more time on the ball, so relax a bit more. So obviously, you're going to create more goal scoring opportunities and score more goals. So
yeah, I mean, you're less likely to freeze if you're if you're playing in front of like 20 people than 50,000. So I guess you're gonna probably put more of those shots away, aren't you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, big game again, 12:30. I wanted to see what your thoughts on Everton, who are currently top of the league, against Liverpool, Merseyside derby earlier on the season, and it's probably a Merseyside derby that no one thought could be as close as it is this season.
I thought Everton looked really, really, really strong this season. They've been brilliant in the transfer market. They've bought some fantastic players, and they've got a manager who's won stuff. All the really major European clubs. They've got some money to back them. So Everton have been sort of promising to kind of do this for about 20 years to kind of put a decent run in and challenge for the top six. However, I think this season looks like some of that is now going to they've got a guy that can't stop scoring as well. So. Looking good.
Definitely looking good. We were speaking just before this, Simon, about the Chelsea Southampton game, and hopefully we should have Pulisic and Ziyech starting in the first games this season. I personally, obviously, very excited for that. I'm sure you are. It's funny how Chelsea, we didn't start that strongly, but we started well enough, even with all these players who are injured.
No, I know. I mean, you're sort of. I mean, Silva looks like he's played in Chelsea's defence for like about 10 years. When he in the last game, Chilwell was probably the man of the match. I mean, he won every header on, and he got himself in, and he scored a goal and had an assist. So they seem to have settled in. Havertz still looks like he probably needs a little bit more time. And Werner, they're playing out of position. I don't know why he's playing on the left of a three behind Abrahams. Werner for me has got that pace that he plays on the back. He plays on the shoulder of the last guy, and you feed him through. And you've got Mount, and you've got whoever else in midfield feeding him through. I don't know. Not a massive Abraham fan actually. I would be playing Werner up front. We'll see.
I agree definitely with that statement.
Yeah, I think. I mean, going back to the Everton-Liverpool game, it's something like Everton haven't won the derby in the league for like 10 years or something,
haven't they?
So they
haven't won at Anfield in years. Yeah,
but I think it's just the derby. Like they haven't won like home or away. They've got draws and stuff, but they just haven't won it for 10 years. So this is the closest they look like to winning it at the moment. For many years, but it will be a very interesting game, and I kind of hope Everton do win because it'll be nice just to like for them to have a bit of joy against Liverpool for once.
Well, they are the proper club in Liverpool, in Merseyside, basically, aren't they? I mean, if you're a proper Scouser, you support Everton, surely. The People's Club, rather than all the kind of glory hunting that goes on the red side of stuff. And given that I live about an hour away, I've had my fill of it already. So I will be supporting Everton all season against Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I wanted to touch on a little bit of the England game yesterday, which obviously was very disappointing, losing 1-0. Did either of you watch it?
Yeah.
I thought Mount and Reece James looked really good on the right.
I thought Reece James was probably man of the match for the whole team. I think he's really big, strong, quick, and his crossing is fantastic. And he kind of I think across one of the chances, he dug it right out from under his feet, and he still got it into the box onto Kane's head. He looked really good, and then unfortunately he lost his temper with the ref at the end, which is not surprising because I thought the referee had a terrible game.
Yeah, he was very, very card happy and foul happy, and I don't know what it was.
I mean, it's still a bit of a sort of anticlimax after beating Belgium 2-1.
Yeah.
What's happening here? And then you go and lose 1-0. But I mean, it's been talked about a lot recently. But I don't know what Southgate has against Grealish. No. I really don't. There's something not right there. Because there's some interviews where it's like, oh, so Grealish, he made his debut, played really well, and he's like, well, first I would like to talk about Connor Cody's debut. But it's like there's something wrong there. There's something really odd.
He's the one player that Grealish is the one player that will take on a defence. He will run at people. He'll make people commit themselves, and also he draws so many. Isn't he the most fouled? Someone told me he's the most fouled midfielder in Europe at the moment. Yeah. So why are you not playing him? He's going to pick up loads of fouls. He can run. He can create stuff. He's the kind of genuinely the most creative player that England have got in their squad, really.
Yeah, I mean, England's set pieces are currently well known for being very good. So if you want a player who can win you set pieces all the time, it's
It's what Hazard did for Chelsea for seasons, which is literally, I mean, picking up sort of 7 or 8 free kicks a game, just constantly being fouled around the box, and then converting those.
Yeah, definitely. I thought yesterday Kane had a poor game again for England. Reece James's crossing, he was putting them in the perfect spot, but Kane was about 5 yards behind and too slow to him.
He had a bit of an odd training schedule or something, Ansi, because like the week before, because he didn't play against Belgium for long, because apparently he didn't train all week or something. He had a little niggle or something like that.
Oh, right.
So, and then obviously he was back in training that week, but it's obviously unsettled him slightly that week before. But I mean, because it's a weird one because his form for Tottenham's been fantastic. So
yeah, and his form for England is normally spot on, isn't it? He did have a slightly off game. Yeah. I think Maguire might need to go and lie down in a dark room for a couple of months and know what's going on with him.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, with Maguire going an absolute stinker at the moment.
Whereas I almost feel sorry for him, but not quite.
Yeah. Whereas with Kane, like he's in fantastic form for Tottenham, and it's probably just a one-off game. With Maguire, he's just started the season awful, and it's what happened in the summer, I think, in Greece and stuff. It's just still in his head, playing on his mind. I think, playing in his head. Yeah,
he's gone downhill. I mean, you think about if you think about 2018 World Cup and how good he was and scoring. Not only was he brilliant at defending, he led the team from the back. He was really dependable. He was scoring headers from free kicks, and his game has gone downhill since then. And I don't really know since he's gone to Man United. I don't know what's happened.
Yeah.
But Man United have also had a poor start to the season. Cavani coming in. Do you think that's a quick fix for them, or?
I think he'll do all right. It's not going to be like game changing, but he'll score a few goals. He'll do all right. But it's not going to be like he's going to win in the league or something. I mean, maybe he might, but I can't see it.
No. It's hilarious. It's the one place they don't need any more players. They got Martial, Greenwood. They got Rashford. They've got loads of like really good attackers. They've got a defence that basically they need a new back four, and they've gone and bought Cavani in, and you just think, I don't, you know, if I was a Man United fan, I'd be pulling my hair out thinking that's not where we need any sort of strength.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter just fuming at the board, and I mean, Solskjaer was promised. Well, no, Solskjaer had 5 players he gave to the board apparently, and got none of them.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you contrast that with Chelsea. You think that, you know, Woodward, I don't know what he gets paid £4 million a year, and I'm not sure what he does for it, but he's managed to basically get Cavani on a free, and pretty much nothing else. And then you think, whoever's, you know, the guys running Chelsea at the moment, Lampard's gone with them with a list of like 6 or 7 players, and they've got a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, they didn't get Rice. That's the only person they couldn't get Rice. But you know,
I mean, that would have been kind of like the 5th cherry on top at that point, though. Really, if we got Rice as well. But maybe in January or next summer.
We might get him in. We might get him in January. I mean, Rice, I think, you know, over the 2 England games has been brilliant, and for West Ham as well, he's been absolutely outstanding. He's really so young as well. I think he's a future captain of England.
Definitely. Well, he's definitely got the potential to. I think with that Cavani signing, they were trying to get Sancho all window, and they were like, "Oh crap, we're not going to get him." So then they were like, "Right, so what can we do? Who do we get? Who can we get?" And they were like, "Oh, Cavani's on a free," and so they were working like out the skin to get him on deadline day, but they didn't even need to do that because he was on a free, so they could have got him like the week after or a couple of weeks after because he's free. It's all like, I've been seeing a lot on Twitter. It's all PR, like getting him on deadline day, trying to hype up the fans and stuff like that.
And they didn't believe the stuff about Sancho. They were told how much Sancho was going to cost. They were given a deadline by which they had to put the offer in. They waited till past the offer and they put in less, and they just didn't get him. I mean, you know, I don't know. Whoever was running that deal needs to go. Needs to go, really.
Yeah, I mean. There's been a lot, like a bit of criticism of City because they've bought Ake and Ruben Diaz this summer. They spent over 400 million on defenders, but I guess in contrast to United's transfer window is we both needed defenders, but City actually went out and got them.
Yeah.
So, like, hopefully Ruben Diaz is the answer, because Ake is a good, like, he's quite a versatile player. He can play holding midfielder, centre back, left back, so he'll be quite good at that. But Ruben Diaz is definitely the leader that hopefully he'll be that for us that we need.
I think the other thing is that in world football, it used to be that it was very hard to get a really decent striker that's going to score you goals. But I think the hardest thing at the moment is to get a world-class centre-half. I think Chelsea have struggled for it. City is struggling for it. Liverpool have got the best kind of centre-half in the world. United need them, and they're just really hard to find. That class of centre-half that can play the ball, that can lead from the back. They're really rare.
Yeah,
it's funny considering about 15 years ago that there was an abundance of world-class defenders. I mean, Terry, Ferdinand,
Cavalier.
There was the Arsenal.
We had Adams and Bold and all. Yeah. They had a series of very fantastic centre halves.
Exactly, and now nowadays there seems like there's more emphasis on attacking players, fantastic attacking players, but.
Do you think that's
if you want a right back, there's about 100 going.
Oh yeah, true. That is true.
Do you think that's a circumstance of the style of play changing? So those sort of players aren't coming through the academies as much. So
I suppose so. I mean, I wonder whether the other thing is that I think kids these days, I don't know. I've got a 10-year-old son, and he continually watches YouTube and plays FIFA and watches football, and he wants to do tricks and he wants to kind of, Rabonas and stuff. And I don't think he's really interested in being a centre half. And I wonder whether that also has an impact, that kind of globalization of football. And he's always watching people scoring goals or creative midfielders. And I wonder whether there's much emphasis in academies of kids that really want to play as a centre half. I don't know whether it's not fashionable or not.
That's a very interesting viewpoint on that, actually. Yeah. Makes sense as well, actually.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably say that it's sort of the end of those that sort of style of centre back was like the more recent ones is like Vidic at United and Company at City and Terry at Chelsea. Like they were like the last ones of that ilk, you could say.
Yes, tough tackling. Sort of like big, strong centre halves, and I don't know whether we don't seem to have those sort of that style anymore at all, really.
No, oh, yeah, you're right. Should we get back to interviewing you about your Chelsea life and stuff? If you can think of some, do you want to give us maybe a top 5 and why of your favourite Chelsea players of all time?
Okay.
Get you thinking.
Franco, I guess I've always had a spot for Franco Zola. I've got a signed shirt on the wall upstairs, and when I went to see him, I saw his first game at the Bridge, and I had season tickets. I went to literally all the home games in the 90s, really. So I saw a lot of him. It was just effortless, that kind of his feet, and he was sort of. Football in the 90s was still pretty tough in the Premiership. It was still kind of muddy pitches and slide tackles, and then this kind of like very sort of tiny Italian guy turned up, and he just kind of made people look really stupid and nutmegged people, and also just, I never saw him booked, but he was just a proper gentleman on the pitch, very sportsmanlike, and just, some of the goals I saw. I was there at the Norwich game. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but the corner comes in and he backheels it behind his foot. And I saw the goal where he scored a free kick from about 30 yards out against Tottenham and top right hand corner, and so I saw all those goals, and so he'd be up there. Lamps would be probably second, because he's just a phenomenal player. Scoring 20 goals a season for about 6 seasons running from midfield is absolutely stunning. 100 caps for England. Pretty much won everything with Chelsea, every trophy going. So. And a nice guy, intelligent guy. I like John Terry, but I think he's had his faults and he's had his off the field stuff. And Lampard has kind of conducted himself so well as a gent and a sort of a thinking man's footballer. Wilkins would be in my top 5. Again, as I said, kind of way ahead of his time, and a gentleman as well. Crikey, who else is up there? Didier Drogba, just because of his kind of like, the goal. Well, he won us the European Cup, so that was pretty good. But he was, he was a really special player. And the one that's a bit sort of left field was, I used to love watching Ruud Gullit when he played for us, and he didn't play for us very long, but he came to us in about '94. But I've never seen. It was like. Those kind of times when a sixth former plays on the playground with a load of kids and just makes them look stupid and just seems to kind of drift around people. When Gullit turned up to Chelsea in the mid-90s, it was like that. He would just seem to have another 5 seconds on the ball every time he got it, and he looked up and he is passing, and they sort of played him all over the place because they played him CDM, but then they played him up front, and he was just quality. He just oozed quality. You can tell which foot he favoured because he could play with both feet, and I love watching him. So those are my 5.
Good top 5. We've said this before when I've done it with my dad and granddad. It's almost we need a bigger list, especially when we did it with granddad, because he listed all the old players. I know you left off Drogba, or you've left off Eden Hazard, and there's a lot of players for people who say that Chelsea hasn't got much history. There are a lot of class players.
Every club has got history. It's just not every club has got that success in the history. So or success throughout the history, should I say?
Well, it's only Red Scousers and Red Manx that go on about it anyway.
What was your favourite game to go to and also watch on TV?
On TV or live?
Well, yeah, like so. Go to a game. What was your favourite one? And live on TV, what was your favourite?
Gosh, first, crikey. Chelsea had a game against Liverpool in the Cup, and we in 1997, the FA Cup, and we were 2-0 down at half time. And I think Hoddle, or was it Hullet, were manager, and he brought on Hughes and Zola at half time, and we beat them 4-2. We scored 4 goals in the second half, and it was just, Stamford Bridge was just absolutely bouncing. It was incredible. And watching it, I'm guessing watching us win the Champions League at home. I didn't get to get out there, but watching that was incredible.
Even I remember that, and I was 12. So
yeah,
that was something. Tell us about what it was like winning the Champions League. Obviously, having followed Chelsea for all the years you had, and then finally being able to win it with the team we had as well. Not the strongest team you've ever had, but
no, it wasn't. It was. I think the Chelsea team of 2005 and 6 really should have gone on to win the Champions League, because they were probably one of the best teams in the Premiership, and they won the league back to back. And I mean, the second season we only conceded 13 goals in the whole season. It was just blew a lot of teams away, sort of 3 and 4-0. So yeah, it was a kind of one. It was also a season we weren't in the Champions League, so I think that probably helped us. I think it was just a kind of, having watched Chelsea in the 70s and 80s, it was kind of, I think when we won the FA Cup to start with in 97, that was like, I never thought we'd win the FA Cup. And then it kind of progressed, and then we won the league in 2004-05, and it was like, oh my God, we won the league, and then we won it back to back. So each time these moments came along, and I was like, I never thought I'd ever see Chelsea win the FA Cup or win the league, or at least win the league 4 or 5 times. And then to go to European Cup final was just stunning. It was incredible. Never thought I'd ever see that happen. It was amazing.
Especially after 2008, the loss in 2008 to United.
I know, it was so close.
Yeah, definitely. What was you've spoken about the amazing goal against Norwich from Zola. What was your favourite Chelsea goal you've seen?
Actually, it's a Zola goal. Chelsea played Wimbledon. When we won the FA Cup in 1997, we played Wimbledon at Highbury in the semi-final. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but Zola gets the ball he picks the ball up on the edge of the box against Wimbledon, and he runs over it and he back heels it. He looks like he's going to go one way, and he back heels it, and 3 Wimbledon players go the other way, and he turns, and then he volleys it into the bottom right hand corner, and it was just like jaw dropping. I've never seen anyone sell three people a dummy with a back heel. It was just incredible. So yeah, and we knew then we were going to Wembley as well, so it was amazing.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll take it more recent now. How do you think last season went under Lampard's first season in charge of Chelsea? How do you think it went?
It's good. I think if someone had said you're gonna have a transfer ban, you're gonna lose one of the best players on the planet to Real Madrid, and you're going to play like 5 or 6 kids from the academy every game, you're going to go into Europe and get the FA Cup final, I'd probably go, yeah, okay, I'll take that. And it was lovely, and it was lovely to see the kids playing. Mount has sort of cemented his place in the first team. James, Tammy Abraham scored some goals. Lots of really great players coming through. Tomori, I think, has got a good future. He's very, very young as a centre half. So yeah, no, it was good. It was a really good season. It was really interesting to watch. It was also a season where I think everyone kind of quite liked watching Chelsea because they were playing kids from the academy, and it was good.
Yeah, I mean, you said that as well, Ben, didn't you? About how it's the mentality towards Chelsea's slightly changed recently.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not so much this season now.
No, but last season,
go bought a new team.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would have been nicer if you had won the FA Cup, but it wasn't meant to be.
We didn't turn up for that, so
yeah. We don't speak about the FA Cup result on this channel.
not anymore.
It was hard to watch that, especially after this. Like the season was kind of building towards that game, and then didn't turn up, and then everything went against us. So.
No, I know everything. I mean, anything that could have gone wrong went wrong, didn't it? So.
I mean, I had a stormer as well, didn't he?
Yeah, no, I think probably Aubameyang's best performance of the season just happened to coincide with the FA Cup final. So not the best.
No, not the best. Looking into the future, how do you this season and the next? How you think Chelsea's going to do with obviously all these new signings, youth players getting better? We've got quite a young side, obviously. Looking to the future,
I think I'll take third this season.
Yeah,
I'll take third in a decent cup run, maybe Champions League quarters or something. I think that would be a good kind of to kind of stabilise. And then I think, depending on who else we buy and what happens to the other teams, I think next season we have to challenge for the league title. I don't think Lampard's going to be given much more than that time because he spent 200 million or whatever it is. So, but I think if you look at those players, if those players do start to gel. We bought sort of 6 or 7 really, really good buys. I think we will be challenging for not this season. I don't think. I think top 3 would be okay.
It'll take this season for them to gel, probably.
Yeah, I think it really will.
Or even half this season. So you'll be if like they've gelled that after half a season, you'll be playing catch up for the second half of the season. So it'll be the season after you'll be building second half of the season after you'll be properly going for it.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting for the top 4 again because Tottenham have bought some decent players. Chelsea have bought some decent players. Arsenal are looking better than they have been. United might put a run together. I don't know.
I don't think United will. I think United are really going to struggle to even be in the top. They won't be in the top 4. Definitely won't be in the top 4. They might struggle to be in the top 6. And I think Everton are going to be pushing for that as well. And Tottenham looks strong. Mourinho's been and done it, in all around the world. And as you said, Arsenal are starting to look really good. They look solid at the back. They were creative, and they've got a goal scorer that will score for fun as well. So. Yeah, interesting times.
Yeah, Ben does like Calvert-Lewin quite a bit. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, he's quality, really quality.
See.
I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of Aston Villa in there, though. I think how the way they've started this season, conceded 2 goals in 3 games, and the only 2 goals they conceded were against Liverpool. They've got a game in hand. They could go joint top with Everton if they win this weekend. I think Aston Villa could be pushing for top 6 if they keep the form they've got. And they've got the players now, I think, as well, with Ollie Watkins, Jack Grealish, Tyrone Mings.
It's a
Barkley.
big
Barkley as well.
Yeah, it's a big if, but they do have some decent players.
Who's that Brazilian midfielder they have, the holding midfielder?
Oh, Douglas Luiz.
I think he's really good as well.
From City.
Yeah, I think he's really good.
I think top half. I don't think they'll be top 6. I think might be pushing it, but we shall see. They were very, very good against Liverpool, though.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is down to Grealish, to be honest. Obviously, they've got some quality players, but Grealish is the heartbeat of that team.
Yeah.
Keeping him was massive for them this season.
Yeah,
definitely.
And also, he linked up with Barkley. The 2 of them together were
they look so
good together.
Yeah.
Grandad was saying when he was on that we shouldn't have let Barkley go. Maybe. Do you agree with that?
Depends. I think the problem with Barkley is that I don't think you can promise him that he's going to play X number of games. I think Villa probably promised him that he'd play most games. But when you've got Mount and Havertz and Kovacic and Kante, you're just going, how many games is he actually going to play in the season? And he wants to go to the Euros. So if I was Barkley, I'd be going, even if you like being at Chelsea, he knows he's probably going to play 90% of the games with Villa.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely got that partnership has definitely got potential.
Very creative.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, good chat about football. You are also an author, Simon, of how many books have you got out now?
6, 7 mid-November.
Mm-hmm. Well, we
I'm
thought
going to have to rattle through this because I've got to go in about.
Yeah, that's why I thought I'd quickly move on to these.
4 minutes.
We've got a couple of questions for you. Oh, there it is. There it is.
That's the first book.
I've read that book. It is very good, I have to say. Recommend it. I like I do like crime thrillers, and the way that you portray Snowdonia is very visual and
Good.
catches. Definitely, you can imagine it. So yeah, me and Ben have got some questions here. We'll just take it in turns answering them. Have you ever gotten writer's block? And if so, how did you overcome it?
So far, no. Now I'm going to jinx it and have to touch wood. But so far, no. I kind of rattled through them. So I've managed to write about 7. I've written seven books in about 2 years. So far, so good. It gets easier. Almost it gets easier actually when you've written, because all the books are the books are all in one series with the same characters in a sort of like in that crime series, 2 detectives. So I kind of know what I'm doing as I start each book.
If you could tell like yourself when you first started writing, what would it be? Tell yourself something.
Write what you know. Don't worry about what you're writing. I mean, sort of just kind of, I suppose, it's about kind of worrying about stuff. I think my writing's better when I just kind of go and do what I think instinctively is right, rather than spend a lot of time kind of planning and worrying about it. And instinctively, I think I know what works. So that's what I'd say. Yeah.
What kind of research do you do for your books, and how much time do you spend making sure that you get the facts right?
I've got a friend who's a detective sergeant at Wrexham Police Station, so certainly on the first few books, I was like running kind of procedural stuff past him and sort of saying, can we get away with doing this? Can we get away with doing that? So yeah, and I've got stuff about, I've done a lot of research into Snowdonia, the kind of the legends, the myths, the folklore of the area. And then each book I write often has a kind of slant. So at the moment I'm writing about a Bosnian war criminal. So I've done a load of research into the Bosnian War in the 90s. And so, yeah, no, I mean, one of my favorite bits is kind of finding a subject that I don't know much about that I want to write about and doing a lot of research on it. And I like to think that most of my books, they're not realistic. Well, they're real enough for the reader to believe that this could happen. I don't like. I mean, I'm not a big fan of crime where there's stuff and you're just sitting there thinking, "Oh, this is ridiculous. This person would never do that, say that." I like it to be feel realistic.
Yeah. So, how many hours a day do you write?
3 to 5, depends on what kind of how it's going. I try and get 1,000 words done an hour, which is pushing it. So yeah, 4 hours I'm guessing, averaging. And then there's a load of other stuff like emails, marketing, interviews, whatever it might be. So keeping busy.
Definitely keeping busy. How do you select the names for your characters at the start? How did you? Was it just you? Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're just going to pop into my head. Ruth Hunter. I suppose she's a cop. She's hunting down criminals. I quite like that. Nick Evans. I just picked a kind of traditionally Welsh surname.
Yeah.
And from then on, I just kind of. I try not to have the same names, so I guess each time now I'm narrowing it down so that each character has a different first name, because otherwise it gets confusing. So I'm starting to run out of names actually. But yeah.
Fair enough.
So, what's the hardest thing that you've wrote about? Would you say?
The hardest thing?
Yeah.
Killing off main characters actually. I shouldn't probably tell anyone what I'm doing, but Yeah, I find it quite difficult because I kind of, in my head, these people are now real, in that sort of slightly mad kind of writerly way. And so when I go, so and so, DC so and so is going to die, because I think it's a good idea, I then kind of get a little bit, kind of go, oh God, and then I write it and he's gone, and I'm like, God, that feels a bit, still feels a bit horrible. So I find that quite difficult to write about, because you're kind of killing off somebody that in your head you created as well. Probably sounds a bit strange, but all writers are quite strange, I think.
And last but not least, where can people find your books?
Amazon. Go onto Amazon. You can pick up a Kindle version for a mere $1.99 if you want to give it a go. I'm going to put this up again. Try that one. That's the first one. Paperbacks are $8.99. But yeah, go to Kindle. Go to Amazon. Type in my name or type in the Snowdonia Killings, and you can pick up a copy and have a read if you like that kind of thing.
Yeah, so definitely go check them out. I have read it, and they are very good books, I have to say, even though you are my uncle. I will say that.
Thanks, Tom. Shameless plugging.
Thank you for coming on today. It's been
Thanks, guys.
a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks, guys. I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much. And good luck with the show in the future.
Thank you very much. Well, we'll leave it there. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you're new around here. The goal is 500 subscribers by Christmas. Hopefully we can reach that. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and yeah, we'll see you guys next Thursday at 4 p.m. Goodbye.